have some breaking news here on the Golazo network, and it's a big one as well concerning domestic football here in the United States. According to reports, the Professional Referees Organization is set to lock out referees belonging to the Professional Soccer Referees Association after a bargaining agreement with the union fell through. The PSRA, which represents MLS, NWSL and USL referees, was engaged in negotiations with Pro, the body which employs and oversees referees, but the union rejected the Pro collective bargaining agreement. In a statement, Peter Manikowski, the PSRA president, relayed, "Our members are asking not only for fair compensation at a time when the league is reporting record growth, but also for the ability to take care of themselves on the road and at home to continue officiating at the highest level that this sport demands." Feedback from our members indicate that the failed ratification was driven by issues with the compensation and benefits Pro were offering, as well as a lack of improvement to travel, scheduling and other qualifies and other qualities of life issues. Peter Manikowski of PSRA, who is the president. With the MLS season kicking off in just 4 days, on Wednesday the 21st, Pro is planning to begin the season with replacement officials. Both sides have expressed commitments to reaching an agreement, but it is unlikely that the issue will be resolved before the season starts this week. And joining us to discuss this Major League Soccer situation from The Athletic, Felipe Cardenas. Thanks so much for joining us, Felipe. Really appreciate it. So let's get straight into this. Where do we even begin with this? This is a huge issue for soccer in North America, is it not?
It is. I think the big story, I mean, you've laid it out there. I think it's pretty clear that this is coming down to working conditions for the referees, and that's where they have not aligned. But honestly, the bigger story here is that this timing couldn't be any worse for Major League Soccer. We're just 5 days away from an MLS 2024 kickoff, which is going to feature Inter Miami and Lionel Messi on Wednesday night hosting Real Salt Lake. And now this news right now looming over that match and honestly overshadowing the start of a new season in MLS. So I think from a PR perspective, there's no positive way that you can spin this. And now you see two sides that reportedly had now or admitting to having had a tentative agreement and not being able to cross the line together. So now we wait. And you mentioned the replacement referees. That's certainly not going to be spun positively either, especially for a league that, like many leagues around the world, the referees in MLS are always heavily scrutinized. And so that's where we stand today. It looks like Lionel Messi may be standing in front of replacement refs on Wednesday night.
Felipe, I need you to explain to me, please, how does this happen at this time right now? How is this left so long for this to be organized just before the season begins?
Yeah, I think that's the surprise, and that's the reaction, Nigel. You know, if you haven't been around and you haven't been following the story and you find out right now, that's going to be one of your first reactions. How does this happen? How do you not have your ducks in a row just a week before the opening of the 2024 season? And I think for MLS, from an image perspective, Nigel, that's where we're going to go with this for a few days now, because around the world, you know, while the football sometimes in MLS gets criticized, the league generally around the world has a reputation of being very organized. And now I think this is going to send shockwaves around the world as well, because you're going to see people around abroad and in other footballing countries saying, oh, wait, we didn't know that there was even a problem, an employment problem here in Major League Soccer with two sides not being able to work together right now. So that is going to be a big story. And they're going to align the fallout, which is replacement referees and the scrutiny around that, and link that with where this league was supposedly going, which was forward. And honestly, with the brand builder that Lionel Messi is, this is going to be interesting to see how it works out.
Felipe, the term replacement referees keeps being brought up. What exactly does that mean? Where on earth are these referees going to come from?
Where are they going to come from? I mean, we're going to see referees from a lot of different regions around the world. This is coming from Jeff Carlisle at the ESPN, who reported that apparently there are 66 referees that are already willing to work, regardless if there was going to be a work stoppage or not. They were sort of on the sidelines ready. But where are they coming from? There's a potential that these referees could come from first, second, and third divisions from leagues around the world. There's also a possibility that the referees could be Division I college referees. And so, like I mentioned before, MLS referees scrutinize often, daily almost, especially on match days. This is one group that gets a lot of criticism, and this isn't going to help. And if you tell me if a fan is expected to take the league seriously right now, especially going into this season 2024, and you don't even respect the level of the referees, it's going to be really hard on the product of MLS. So that's where they are potentially coming from, though, Callum.
Felipe, this is amateurish and embarrassing for MLS. You have one of the greatest players of all time playing in the league to try and grow the game of soccer in this country, and you leave it to the last minute before the season starts to have an agreement with referees who are a vital part of soccer. How can the league look at itself in the mirror and want to say that they're a league that wants to be taken seriously in world football?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you can't spin this positively, but from a league perspective, they released a statement, Nigel, saying that their part of the deal would have made these referees the highest paid referees in the world. That is what MLS is claiming. So that tells you, I guess their argument is going to be, we had a strong deal for them and they didn't take it. But you're right. I mean, right now, MLS and Lionel Messi go hand in hand. Lionel Messi, what he exemplifies is greatness and just winning at all costs. And he has honestly elevated the image of Major League Soccer. But this puts it way back. This is a huge step back for the league. And again, I go back to what this means globally, because part of the MLS strategy is growing abroad and not just growing the league domestically. They want to have more interest abroad. And this is going to bring interest, but not the type of interest that they want. And like I said, this is going to make a lot of headlines in the next few days because they're going to link it to the opener on Wednesday night that's featuring the biggest club in Major League Soccer right now. So it is, I agree, Nigel. It's a bad look right now because of the timing. And they both sides have said publicly that they will go back to the negotiating table. So we have to see what happens from now until the next few days.
Well, that's the question, isn't it, Felipe? What does need to happen for this deal to be done over the course of the next few days?
They need to agree. I mean, again, this is coming down to working conditions, and not having been privy to these discussions, I can only speculate that obviously, even though they had almost a 95% tentative agreement, they're not on the same page right now, and so that's going to be how. We don't know the margin for error right now, what these two sides are, where they are right now. But all I can say is that the way to get this done is to negotiate. Both parties have said they will. And so that's perhaps the only good news coming out of a bad day for the league.
Felipe, with your knowledge and inside information that you have, how much of a time frame would you give it for this whole situation to be resolved, roughly, if you had to give it a time frame?
It's hard to tell because if you remember other strikes, if you will, player associations going against the league, and those negotiations can last months. And if this is a lockout, there's no way to say that we're locking out, but we'll be back for day one of the league. The referees aren't doing that. They want to get this deal done for themselves, and they're probably willing to wait as long as needed. And so there's no way to tell. And that's another negative on this situation. There's no telling how long we'll have perhaps college referees from third divisions from other countries that are going to get used to the culture of football here. Perhaps they don't know anything about it. The VAR officials are going to be people that claim, according to MLS, are going to be professional VAR officials. But again, the viewer, us in the media, we're going to be even more critical of some of these decisions on game day. And so if I'm MLS, you want to get this done as soon as possible. But I don't think if I'm on the other side, I'm like, we'll wait as long as possible. It's going to be tough to see that this gets resolved from now until Wednesday, honestly.
Felipe, thanks so much for joining us. Really, really appreciate it. We'll see you throughout the course of the Major League Soccer season, no doubt. The one question I have for you, Nigel Reo-Coker, from a player's perspective, what sort of reaction are you expecting from the players now?
They'll be embarrassed. The league's come so far. You thought you've got away from these type of issues, from players taking a strike. The season's just about to start. And one of the most important pieces in football are the referees. And for them to want to go on strike before the season starts, as a player, you'd be embarrassed by it. You'd be very disappointed that the league hasn't had this negotiated or this deal done before the season starts, with all the eyes that's come onto MLS recently, especially because of a Lionel Messi. And now you're a professional football player that could have your games officiated by Div 1 referees, or referees from out of nowhere coming into a cauldron of fire.